So welcome guys, Juice is loose. Today is gonna be going over. Just want to introduce the whole concept of gamification, and then kind of give you guys a story of my background, what my interests are, what kind of led to me becoming passionate about this idea and this strategy for or this approach to executive functioning, and then I'll kind of break down the benefits that I see of this strategy, how you guys can get value from it, um, and then sort of tease the project that I've been working on, and then wrap up, give some final concluding remarks. Right. So first, I'll just kind of start with my backgrounds and like my main spheres of interest. So if I could like distill this into five things, I would say most things STEM, but specifically pertaining to like space, AI, energy, biotech, and health, and then also computing. Those are kind of my main areas that I'm interested in STEM. Just kind of like from a outsider perspective, but somebody with a background with an engineering degree who can kind of, um, I mean, anybody can learn more about these things, but I've studied a lot of like the physics and the engineering aspects of those fields from sort of a more academic or technical area. Like primarily those are the kinds of things I'm interested in. I'm also um, just grown up being a gamer, so like League of Legends, most FPS games, and like the older Call of Duty, and then segueing into like what like the battle royale, Apex Legends, those kinds of games. I was never a big Fortnite player, but that's a story for another day. And then also what I like MMORPGs, Souls-like games, puzzle games, those kinds of things. Um, in terms of like health and fitness, I think the things that are like most appealing to me are the mental and physical discipline that you gain from doing consistent physical activity. So kind of like the weightlifting, bodybuilding, elements of that area, and then also I think like learning how to become the master of your own body and not being a slave to your body. So a lot of that ties into like the diet component, right? So learning how to be in control, learning how to modulate how much you're eating and the quality of what you're eating, and realizing that you can design a system that works for you. You don't necessarily have to prescribe to something that, when tested time and time again, doesn't work for you. So I find that to be kind of empowering, and that's two of the things that I'm kind of really invested in exploring in health and fitness. And then fourth would be wealth building, so entrepreneurship, investing, trading, and then asset acquisition and management. Um, and all those things I'm kind of coming into from an outside perspective. Yes, I know a little bit about economics, but um, in terms of like actual hands-on experience, I'm still building that, and I view this channel as a way to not necessarily say that I have the answers to all these to a lot of challenges that may exist in these areas, but um, I feel like I've found an approach that I am confident that will bring me success down the line, and I just kind of want to share that and keep an open window of communication. So um, in that sense, that's kind of what I'm looking to build on in terms of wealth, and then finally overall ethos or worldview, approach to life. I think establishing a strong value system um, is something that people talk about, and maybe you're supposed to do when you're younger, but I don't think any of those activities really resonated with me at a younger age. So figuring out a way to kind of convey that character building element, um, and repackage it and make it a little bit more fun. Um, that's kind of what I'm looking into, and then also tackling some like relationship building stuff. How do you approach relationships and social dynamics? and then also goal setting. So I think those are like the three major components of ethos that I kind of want to be touching in this channel, on these streams, and then also applying gamification to, right? So this kind of segues into talking about why does gamification work, and outside of just on the surface level thinking, oh, gamification just kind of makes things fun, it turns things into a game. Um, so yeah, and on an intuitive level, like yeah, of course that would just promote productivity and higher levels of motivation and whatnot. Actually diving into the psychological and developmental factors that um, align with the gamification approach, and then looking at what things we can tweak and modulate, to kind of tailor a custom-made individual system for everyone. So I think I sat down and I wrote down on this sheet of paper a couple of ideas, and so the first one is balancing intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, right? So um, it's a lot easier to consistently do something when you're intrinsically motivated than when you're extrinsically motivated, right? So if you internally have some desire, some motivation, some reason for doing something, that usually is a lot stronger than someone just doing something because someone tells you to. At least when it comes to trying to optimize, going the extra mile, really putting your all into something. So I think that's kind of one thing that I kind of want to explore. And maybe what I'll do is, um, in the extreme, I'll kind of grab one of these things and do a little bit more research and come and present something um, a little bit more robust to you guys, and kind of really break down how that works on a psychological level. But this is just kind of a surface level. Why does it work? Two, I think it really plays into the theory of self-determination, right? So when you have autonomy, competence, and then um, relatedness to things that you're interested in, when all three of those parameters are satisfied, then it's almost an inevitable self-deterministic um, system, heuristic, whatever you want to call it. Um, and so it's a lot easier to be motivated. So those three things is not a guarantee for you to be motivated in something, but it's a lot easier to be motivated by an activity when you have autonomy, you are competent to some extent, and then it's also related to things that you care about and are passionate about. Third, reward systems and reinforcement, right? So um, behavior is shaped by rewards. We know that. I think it was like B.F. Skinner or who's the other guy? The guy who did like the whole dog experiment. Um, he was like the Russian guy. I'm forgetting. This is bad. This is throwback to AP Psych. But looking at positive reinforcement as a tool for um, shaping behavior and reinforcing behavior that you want to see reproduced. Dostoevsky, I think. Maybe? I don't know. Fourth, dopamine, right? We want to feel good, things that feel good. And this ties back into like reward systems, but um, games are essentially vehicles for that directly tap into your dopamine system, um, which makes you feel good when you play them, which is why you don't feel tired at all, right? And then this segues into getting into the flow state and immersing yourself in topics, right? So I think gamification is a really unique way of tapping into that flow state, and games really promote that kind of intense focus and make it feel effortless, that effortlessness of focus. And then finally, like goal setting and clear objectives, right? Most games, um, have simple structures, but have clear objectives that are outlined. You set goals, you understand the system, and then you kind of progress and move through the system sense. So I think those, I don't know, like 5 or 6 um, points are why gamification works. And then I think it also kind of ties into um, how this type of content is going to bring value to you guys and to myself. And so I think the 3 big ticket items are: one, this is all application based, right? I'm going to be showing how I apply these techniques and how I'm adjusting the protocols in real time. Um, and that segues into integration, right? And integration and interaction. So right now, nobody's watching. This is just me, but um, or maybe we do have somebody watching. I don't know. But through engagement with you guys, we can actually work on developing these systems together. So I don't want to just be spitting out content where it's like, this is what I'm doing, and it's kind of a one-way mirror. I'd love to have engagement. I'd love to um, be able to interface with other people and propose solutions to challenges that they may be feeling or experiencing in life, and seeing the skill set that I've been developing and that I'm working on, tools that I'm adding to my toolbox will be applicable to a more wide audience of people. And then finally, just to kind of tease the project that I've been working on, Workforce AI, gamifying a gamification system that takes in, user prompts of, you have a goal, you have a task, you have a challenge that you want, and it designs a schedule, a daily task to-do list, and then it also actively and passively monitors for disruptions, right? So let's just kind of throw out an example. Like, okay, let's say, hey, I want to become um, better at running, okay, and it'll prompt you to kind of refine that target, that goal. And so you say, okay, I want to run a 400 meter or 400 yards in, I don't know what's reasonable to say, 57 minutes, okay? And I don't know what the starting point is, but that's kind of your input. And then it breaks it down. Okay, what's your time frame? What are the metrics? What's realistic for you? Where are you starting from? What's your background? And once it gathers all that data, it comes up with a quest line, right? So this is kind of the gamification element. Comes up with a quest line that is just a sequence of quests, a sequence of large milestones that you have to complete in order to get to your goal. And each quest has a task list, right? So the quests are broken down into daily task lists. They're chained together. It integrates with, hopefully, I'm trying to work on making it integrate with Google Calendar and other, what's it called, like productivity apps, or things that track events, so calendar software, those kinds of things. And then it kind of monitors your progress in real time, so checking in, making sure, hey, did you actually complete this? No, you didn't. Okay, we need to readjust things. So dynamic quest adjustment, task list adjustment, and making sure that even if disruptions come along and you're not able to stick to things to a T, you're presented with solutions. You don't have to waste effort on the systems part of developing a new skill set or working towards a new goal. All you really have to work on is the execution. And I think that really ties back into my ethos of, like, the meaning behind the Juice is Loose. So anybody that's seen that first stream that I did where I talked about the Juice acronym and the Loose acronym, live under, oh shit, I can't even remember the acronym. Live under something like intense, consistent execution. Expose myself. But yeah, so I think the idea is just to make a product or a service that makes it easy for people to execute and not have to worry about designing the system from scratch. It'll do that. And so the AI is really just one, natural language processing, can it understand and interact with you, and parse, what your objectives are, and then two, can it dynamically adjust the schedules and the programs that it's designing based upon what disruptions are occurring, and then three is implementing training based on that. So will it get better at designing schedules to minimize disruption in the future? So almost prognostically uh, avoiding disruptions or trying to future-proof plans. So in terms of that, since my SSD got killed yesterday, I'm not exactly sure where the state of things are going to be with that project, but worst case scenario, I just recode it up. But I know all the features that I want to provide, and the development plan, we're planning on rolling this thing out in 5 or 6 different phases, starting with kind of the skeletal um, routine system process being available in that first, I don't know if you call it an alpha phase or a beta. I think it's beta phase and then alpha phase. But in that first phase, so just kind of giving you guys a skeleton of the base functionality, and then adding more pieces into it that I won't necessarily divulge here. And then also like kind of see if there's interest. I'm putting together a waitlist form because I need people to be testing this and be giving me feedback on things that are adequate in terms of design or execution, or on the UI side, on the front end side, making sure that it's easy to interact with this service. And so I'm not sure what kind of incentives we'll offer, but things that I've kind of been thinking about are like, you know, the first X amount of people that sign up, that, contingent upon consistent use of the application for some set period of time, will get, free full access for life or something like that. And then also, as we kind of roll out subsequent phases, with features that may be monetized down the line, access to those things either at a discount or fully free is kind of what we're looking at in terms of like incentives for getting that early testing group. So other than that, I think that about covers what I wanted to talk about today in terms of gamification and self-improvement. In terms of me personally, things that I'm working on improving, I think public speaking and the whole streaming thing. I'm really trying to take like a student approach to this thing. So I'd love to see, what styles of delivery resonate best with you guys. So, if you have comments, suggestions, things like that, let me know. Because I think, I want things to be as digestible as possible. So if that means I need to be preparing more, or people enjoy kind of the off the cuff, off the top of the head style of delivery, let me know. Finally, tomorrow is kind of the wild card day. It's Friday. It's going to be the challenge. Moving forward, the content category that things are going to fall into is, live challenge. So either I'm coming up with a live challenge, or you guys are coming up with live challenges. But for this Friday, the challenge is to get back on schedule, and then we're going to talk about planning versus procrastination. So in one of the earlier videos or streams, I discussed how sometimes I fall into the trap of overthinking, and that leads me to procrastinate on things where I'm solving problems that don't exist for me in the future yet and may not exist for me at all. And I think that might be an interesting thought path to travel. So we're gonna kind of explore that together tomorrow. Finally, nothing. Finally, thanks. Appreciate you guys tuning in.